wants to see it. Welcome to the Ending Parkinson's Disease Meeting, Part 2. This is our second month in a row of doing this. We're opening up the questions based on the book and the conversation. What is it that we want to be starting? What is it that we want to be doing to help end Parkinson's disease? So I'm going to bring up this list of questions right now, and we're going to discuss. We brought up a moment ago how many have read the book. I know a few have entered since that time. Can I get one more quick show of hands? How many have read the book? Show me if you have. Looks like most of you, but not all. Okay. Does anyone not know where to get it? Who wants it? Is anyone out there like, well, I've heard of it, but I don't know where to get it? Is that anybody? I want to make sure. Okay. The website is the place to start, endingpd.org. Okay. Very good. Okay. So we have the foundation set. That's good. Either you have the book or you know where to get it or you've read it. Wonderful. Now, where does the book succeed? Let's just open that question up. You tell me where, even what you've read or what you've heard about, does the book do something really positive? Let's just kind of briefly bullet point things. You name.
It's very thorough.
It's thorough, Yvonne says. That's fantastic. Anybody else? Give me another one. What does the book do? Yeah, BJ.
It spawned kind of PD Avengers, or they use it as a guidebook on action to take. And the opinions of the authors are really giving us a call to action on what we can do.
Great. So he says, I want to reiterate, PD Avengers. Does anyone not know what PD Avengers is? Is that foreign to you? I want to make sure that group's out there. Okay. So there's a man named Larry Gifford who founded this group up in Vancouver. He's a well-known speaker and podcaster, When Life Gives You Parkinson's. And based on this book, yes, he founded PD Avengers. So now we have, like what BJ is saying, these authors, none of whom have Parkinson's, are researchers themselves, getting someone to start something, in this case, who's Larry, is a good friend, and I highly recommend checking out PD Avengers. If someone would be so kind as to put that in the chat, I think that's a great.
I got it.
Okay. Thanks, BJ. So yeah, all these resources, as you hear them, if you want to, anybody out there, just put it in the chat. Make sure they're available to everybody. Okay. So good. Do look to them. So there's a form of advocacy. What else does the book do well? Let's really,
I personally think that it's the first book that I read that didn't talk about having Parkinson's or symptoms of Parkinson's. It talked about ending Parkinson's. And I am a big believer in vision statement, mission statements, and getting people behind things. Where there's no vision, the people are going to perish. They're just going to fall apart. And the timeline of Parkinson's proves that. It used to take 40 and 50 years between major breakthroughs, and now we've got that down to 1 or 2 years. And so I like the approach of the book that we're not interested in figuring out what causes it. We're not interested in figuring out resources to it. We want to end this disease. There is no reason that Parkinson's, a uniquely human disease, can't be ended in our generation's lifetime.
Good deal. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. And to say that, Ray is one of the authors, really says humans cause this, humans can end it. So I want to highlight that. There's another point I want to come back to, which is about the cause, because they do hit on that pretty heavily, but I saw Susan's hand. So Susan, yes.
Forgive me, I can't remember if this is you or the book, but if it's the book, they cite real examples of real movements where people's voices made a difference. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and what we probably are going to come cycle. I don't know if that was the book or just hanging around with you guys.
I'm definitely yes-anding the book. That you're right. The book is a very prescriptive, active book, right? The prescription they're writing is to be an advocate, how to be an advocate, and it is to follow the playbook of successful movements prior. And actually, I have a couple videos that we'll look at during this meeting of what some other people have done in these groups, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the HIV/AIDS movement, and how they got advocacy out there. And we'll talk about what do we like, what could we do possibly, could we ourselves produce some of these PSAs? I mean, to me, there's no reason we can't. So wonderful. I saw Venetia's hand. Yes, Venetia.
It is important that he did bring up, four authors did bring up the causes. It's important that, the causes at least that they know about. It's important to eradicate some of those, insecticides and different pesticides and things in our diet that need to be gone.
Right. And Ray is big on that. And I'm also going to show a clip from an interview I did with Ray here, a piece of it at least, because you're right that they identified rotenone and paraquat and trichloroethylene as the three absolute smoking guns that are there. And if by, as Ray will tell us, taking those out, we can effectively, at least in the pandemic part of this, we won't have so many people diagnosed. Does that give us a cure? No, but it would give us publicity. Right? The fact that we were dropping numbers and could scientifically show it was a link here, man, I'm telling you, the opportunity in a lot of ways is with that for people to go, wait a minute, you guys did something. People love to hear about winners, and fair or not, that's how society tends to view things. When something sticks around for a long time, we're in a difficult and dangerous phase, I think, of Parkinson's being like that's just too bad. Oh, well, we got to fight that. That's what we can't allow for. And Greg was, I think, calling that direction. Yvonne, yes.
Yes, well, and the way I see it is time is of the essence. What I have Huntington's, officially a Huntington's disease diagnosis called HD, which means I have Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and ALS all in one, all of the symptoms. Eventually, right now I have several already. I'm already mid-stage. And so that's why I'm trying to learn everything I can. And I feel like, and my life might be cut short, but I feel like I want that we just need to, and scientists and researchers and doctors need to realize that too, to collaborate, continue. There are ones that do, but that's it. Time is of the essence.
I can't say enough about how much I appreciate your voice, and Greg's was similar in that regard. And Greg, I'll call you in just a moment to say what I want, Yvonne, is I want your story, much the way I'm looking around right now, because somewhere around here I have Greg's book, and I so appreciate all of you who are writing and doing these things. And Greg, if you want to put your book link in the chat and your website, feel free to do so. One thing I'll talk more about later, we have a storytelling program. I have some people in that class who have taken it. I would love for more of you to take that so you can not just tell your story, but tell it in a way that's going to hopefully move people, move you. Maybe you will have discoveries too, and then help the scientists do exactly what you're calling for, Yvonne. We have to tell our stories loud and vulnerably and courageously. Greg, I saw your hand.
I was just going to say, I think one of the things that we need to do as people with Parkinson's and any of the neurological disorders, including Huntington's, is we've got to come up with a what I'll call a heart strain. We've got to come up with a cause, a theme that people go, that's terrible. Because the people with Parkinson's, we have tended to be way too apathetic. We don't care that we don't care about it. And so we can't approach getting the average John Q. public to believe that we can end this disease if we ourselves don't espouse that. And right now we're only 1 million of us Americans, roughly. But I think one of the things that strikes me as not a bad idea is the Camp Lejeune Agent Orange effect. These are young men that at the time either volunteered or were drafted, but they went and fought for our country, for our freedoms, and our government paid them by spraying them with chemicals. And we can take that same touch towards the agricultural community and saying, we understand that paraquat is cheap, but my life's not that cheap.
Damn straight. Well said. And I like the way that Greg's got a background, you know, and BJ was holding up his book. The link is now in there. And what was the title you gave yourself? I'm sorry, it was
Rising Above Parkinson's.
but your personal title in the business world was, you called yourself a
Warlord of Commerce.
There it is, Warlord of Commerce. So understands messaging. And this is why I am a fan of Greg's work. And we all, I think, would do well to become warlords of messaging, right? We want to be out in front. And I love coming together. And I love, yeah, Greg, you know, what you're espousing here, I think is a good thing. With permission from the group, what I'd like to do, unless someone else is burning on something right now, is play that interview with Ray. It's a brief, yeah, I see Stacy. I'm going to play the video after this. Stacy, yes, please.
I just wanted to comment a little bit on what Greg was saying. My father, who is 24 years older than I, got a diagnosis of Parkinson's a week after me. That is something that we don't share the genetic link. The first thing we did was genetic testing. So it's obviously that we were exposed to something that we were genetically predisposed to react to. And it can't be more obvious than that. 8 years ago, our symptoms started together, everything came together. The second thing I just want to throw out there is I'm really pushing forward to start a video blog. It's called YOLO So No, which means you look so normal. And I'm tired of hearing that you look so normal, because I'm not, but a lot of us are not either, you know? And so my goal, I'm doing the day one program right now to take out from that, is to start this video blog or video blog, whatever, VB log, that incorporates life. But I've also discovered, living in Europe and trying to keep my lifestyle here in Europe, is that you don't have to give up everything you do because you have some of these motor dysfunctions. So I want to be both inspirational, knowledge sharing, but also to do enough of travel and everyday life in Europe so that I bring in people who are not Parkinson's, because that's where the education comes as well, I think.
I agree. There's something that Susan and I have talked a lot about, which is expanding our circle, right? That we don't need to, as Greg brought up, just sit in the chamber of 1 million people with, and even say the 3 to 5 on average people in their immediate circle. Just that you are not Parkinson's. You are a person with Parkinson's.
No.
When you bring your skill set, one sec, Stacey, when you bring your skill set or your passion to your purpose, and whether it's a blog, vlog, or anything else you do, people know who you are, and then they go, "Oh my gosh, you got Parkinson's!" Boom! Now the door is open. Stacey.
Well, just to close off what I was saying, and my tagline is musings about life and travel. Did I tell you I have Parkinson's? It's kind of a thing I do. It's kind of a joke. What do you have? What do you have? So, you know, nobody's normal, nobody's there, but this comes in, and the whole goal is to also incorporate how we can manage our lives better by building a second brain. Anyhow, that's done. Thank you.
I love it. Beautiful. Keep going. You sparked a memory for me of my dear grandmother-in-law who passed away earlier this year, but she's a wonderful woman from Sicily, who very, very, very gregarious now with people. And she go, "Hey, how are you?" "Me? Diabetes."
I do that too here. I mean, it's really great. When I came back, everybody was convinced I was an alcoholic, you know, because of all my Parkinson's symptoms. So when even people I didn't know my name, ask me, "Oh my God, you look so great. What happened?" "I have Parkinson's." And it's just become a habit. You know, I educate everybody I meet.
And what I love is the quick after that, I have Parkinson's. "How are you?" You know, I mean, boom, right? Oh, sure.
It's wonderful. Just throw it out there.
Yeah, that's really great. Okay, let's take a quick look at this clip from Ray, because I think there's some good stuff speaking toward the advocacy that Greg was hitting earlier. And anything you want to yes and from there. And then what I'd like to do, again, feel free to interrupt me as you're sparked with thoughts, is start looking at a couple of these PSAs too, and start maybe getting some thoughts. What could we do? What message could we coalesce on that maybe we could start to draw some eyes and ears and, you know, attention with. Okay. So with that in mind, let me jump over to the interview with Ray. This is a piece of it that I did, I think about a year and a half ago. It'll be part of the Fourth Boys of Summer film. Oh, that's right. I got to click the link. Shoot, I forgot about it. Google Slides has gotten very iffy on what they allow. So I will come back to that in a moment. Let me play a link first from one of the PSAs. This one is from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And, you know, again, they use shock value in a good way. They're using some interesting metaphor to draw eyeballs here. So let's go over here. I see Kathy is going to be joining us. We'll bring her in the room. That's wonderful. Okay, so here is the link to the Mothers Against Drunk Driving clip. Let me just see if Kathy's coming in so I can welcome her so she's not completely shocked by walking into a video. What did I do? Right. Kathy, are you there? You know I've seen you. Kathy was with one of our improv groups when we were testing this back during my PhD, as a matter of fact, as I remember. Kathy, if you're there, just to give you a heads up, we're going to play a PSA right now. Mothers Against Drunk Driving is one of the groups that Ending Parkinson's Disease mentioned as a group to look at and say they did it well, they got attention well. So we're going to take a look at this well and then discuss what we saw and see if there's anything that we liked, anything that we could use in terms of content or form or style. All right, so here is the clip, and give me a thumbs up when this comes on so I know you can hear it.
High school, no pigtails anymore.
Check, please.
David, you okay to drive?
Yeah, I only had a couple drinks. I'm fine.
Come on.
Keys can be a weapon. A few drinks can make you a killer.
Okay, let's talk. What did we see? What did you feel? Yes, I see Stacy.
No, I was just, that's exaggerated. I think it's too much.
Too much, and that's fine. All opinions are welcome. Yeah. Greg, go ahead.
I feel that one of the ways, the routes to get something that makes sense to the average person, not to the Parkinson's person, but to the average person, to make them awareness, is to talk numbers. If there's 1 million people with Parkinson's in America, it costs, according to the Parkinson's Foundation, the federal government $52 billion a year. Now, 26 billion of that is Social Security costs, and 26 billion of that is just lost opportunity costs. If we got people, I think people in America would react better to, instead of, oh, me, I have Parkinson's and I'm 1 million people, and they're going to go, there's 330 million of us, who cares? We all have some atomic event going on in our lives. Right. But if we talk money and say, just think what we could do if we didn't spray our fields with paraquat, if we didn't spray American soldiers with Agent Orange.
I'm with you, and I think all your ideas are great. I'm going to hold you for 1 second. Stacy, hold for 1 sec. What I want to do in this focus, because we just watched that video, is discuss that video, right? Like it or dislike it, what worked or didn't work, because the movement worked. I'm not saying any of these in particular worked. So before we get to discussing what we will do, let's look at what was done. And then again, we don't have to come to a consensus. Some people might really like something and some people might really hate it, and that can live in the same space. So don't anyone feel dissuaded if someone said, no, that's too much. You could still say, I love it, or you could, whatever you want to do. Okay. All opinions are welcome. I saw BJ. Yes, BJ.
Well, what popped into my head was, what if there was a Parkinson's patient or a person with Parkinson's with puppet strings, right? And it starts out really funny. You don't realize that the person has Parkinson's, but it starts out, here, look, I can make him dance. And then he kind of gets that, it gets darker and darker. Look, I can make him trimmer. Look, I can make him, and he makes all the different symptoms come out on the puppet. And then we can come back with, we need to cut those strings or something like that. But it kind of follows the same thing where it's kind of light in the beginning, but then it just gets darker and darker. And then the person there is just like lost total control.
I think it's like dramatic and emotional.
Yeah, hold on for 1 sec. I'm going to get you.
Okay.
So BJ, I want to respond to that just to say the idea is fantastic. I want to yes and what I said just a moment ago, that let's not go for new ideas just yet. Okay. All new ideas are potentially fantastic. That in order to come to, what we're trying to do is come to the same place, kind of like when we were all dancing to the same song. Let's talk about the thing we just saw and speak toward that. And you can speak to your emotion, you can speak to the logic, but let's speak to what we saw first, and then we can talk about, because like or dislike is not as important as effectiveness right now, right? We want this to be effective. We can dislike something, it can still be effective. Now, I'm not advocating for doing something that is, destructive. I don't mean that, but I mean that there are different ways to have an effect. So when it comes to that video that we just watched, do we want to watch it again? Would that help? Yeah. Okay. Let me cue it. It's 30 seconds. Let me cue it one more time, and let's talk about what we saw. And again, when we bring that up, say, I saw this, I noticed this, I felt that. These are the statements I'm looking for. Don't need a long breakdown. We want a cacophony. We want all opinions to come in. I saw, I liked, I noticed, I felt, those are the things we want. Okay, let's take a look. And then let's come back with those types of feedback. So, because there's more than one to get through here. So here it is, 30 seconds. It is, boom.
High school, no pigtails anymore.
Check, please.
David, you okay to drive?
Yeah, I only had a couple drinks. I'm fine.
Come on.
Keys can be a weapon. A few drinks can make you a killer.
All right. Now, from that, what did we see? What did we notice? What did we feel? Yeah, let's go with Stacy and then Nina.
I still, the second time around, feel that it was too much. I mean, it's the whole gun control issue. I wasn't thinking about Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I was thinking more about gun control. And so it wasn't getting to the point. Here in Europe, every doctor you talk to talks about Parkinson's and knows about Parkinson's, that it's the fastest growing disease amongst young people, neurodegenerative disease. You talk to any European doctor, what are they doing to get that information out? Because my brother, who's a doctor, had no idea that melanoma was part of Parkinson.
Okay.
Good.
So let's hold that thought just for now, right? That for you, it was over the top, and the gun issue threw you out a little bit for comment. Thank you for that. Nina and then Venetia. Yes, Nina.
I think it was very effective because for me, that 30 seconds made me think.
Yeah.
If it went longer, I would have got bored.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was thinking to myself, what has that gun got to do with drunk driving? And they brought it together immediately. So it was like, yes. And for me, I will sit up and notice that. It's
so
like,
the feeling was, I sit up and notice, I saw the metaphor, and it worked for you, Nina. Beautiful. Thank you.
And the fact that they said he's only had 1 or 2 drinks, he said, that's very true. Because it's happened with me. Like, I think, oh, he's only had 1 drink. What's the big deal?
So this has to do with degrees of efficacy, right? The people thinking they're under control, which we could equate to Parkinson's, and we'll talk about that too. Thank you for that. I see Venetia and then BJ. Venetia, what'd you see?
I thought it was really scary, and it scared the pants off me. But I liked how they changed the gun into the keys. That was quite effective.
So you've done some great metaphor work. Did that visually, you got the metaphor of the keys as the gun?
Yeah, it was good. I like that part of it.
So, okay. So that worked for you. BJ, yes.
Well, again, in a short amount of time, it put the emphasis squarely on the guy making the decision to drive. So there was no question about that. And then as he turned around with the gun, they had all the real shrill, screeching tires and everything else. So even if you weren't paying attention, all those noises made, everyone looks at a car wreck, when they're passing by. So the sounds and everything make you want to look around. Okay, what just happened? So, and then when he tosses the gun in the air or whatever, and it turns into the car keys, I think it makes a good transition to look, he has the keys in his hand. The car is a weapon.
Yeah. And to add to, Susan writes here that I was momentarily confused, and the tagline "keys can be a killer" made me gasp. So, we if we're holding up our car keys, we're not thinking about killing someone, most likely, right? The idea that we could be transformed into a maniacal killer, because this wasn't just someone with a gun. This was someone who was going on a shooting spree, something, horrible, right? And the equation that holding your keys while you've just had a drink or two can make you that person, as Nina said, in 30 seconds, interesting. I see Greg. Yes, Greg.
I like the metaphor of the gun as a weapon and your vehicle as a weapon in the hands of a drunk driver.
There it is.
That it is, in fact, one of those things that you go, at least with a gun, you're only shooting one bullet and one time. If you have a car and you're drunk out of your mind, you could randomly kill anybody. Right. And I think one of the powers of Mothers Against Drunk Driving was that so many Americans suddenly saw those types of ads that are eye-catching. They're kind of brutal.
Okay.
But they suddenly went, what if that happened to me?
That's right. There it is, Greg. And there's the versus what you said earlier, right? That the 330 versus 1 million, if they say, hey, tough luck, we've all got an atomic issue. How can we, that's the nice thing, personalize this to the people who don't have Parkinson's in their background right now? So keep that in mind. We don't have to answer that right now, but I loved how you did that, Greg, because the pervading thought about drunk driving before Mothers Against Drunk Driving was, hey, just slow down, you'll be okay. It was culturally acceptable to drink and drive. They changed the mindset entirely to get a federal law passed. So that is big time stuff. All right. So to change people's minds and attitudes, one of the most difficult things you can do, and recognize that we're up against that here too, to change people's minds from, oh, that's too bad. Everybody's got something, to wait a minute, I don't want that to happen to me. Okay. Is anybody else who I haven't heard from have a thought or a comment so far? I want to put up another ad, but I want to make sure everybody got a chance. Okay, so this is a different style. This is from from some folks involved with HIV/AIDS movement, changing the face of HIV. And once again, this had to do with changing attitudes. So let's take a look at this ad and see what they did here. A little longer, but I think very effective. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Val.
Of course. Hello, Val. Take a seat and tell me what I can help you with.
Well, Doctor, I came here last week to see you with a sore throat, and then the week before with an ache in my back and neck.
I see.
I have these disgusting cold sores that just won't go away. I have a rash all over my chest. I keep sweating during the night, and I've lost weight. I've had diarrhea for at least 10 days in a row. And I am absolutely shattered. What do you think it could be?
Recognizing the changing face of HIV can help you diagnose it sooner. With one simple blood test, you can make all the difference. Don't think twice. Think test.
Yeah. So again, very effective. And what did we see? What did we feel? Good. Katie, please.
And I've said this before, you see faces. And that's so vital for people to see that this young mom of 3 has Parkinson's, not just my 87-year-old grandfather that had it.
Right, right. Diversity, right?
Mhm.
I'm with you. Diversity is a big need in how we change the conversation to the old white man, to, an incredibly, this could be any of us. Yeah. Anybody else? What you saw, what you felt, BJ?
So a lot of the HIV stigma is on behavioral, and so, but this showed none of that. It showed age range, gender range, race. It just showed people in all different shapes, sizes, shapes and sizes.
Shapes and sizes.
That's right. But I liked how it discussed the symptoms. It didn't get into their lifestyle, and it said, it doesn't matter what the lifestyle is. This is horrible.
This is a human condition. That's right. Hello, I'm Val. They gave you that beautiful call to action there at the end. Get tested. Stacy, unmute yourself, please, and let me hear. You got to unmute yourself.
That ad kept me very intrigued. I kept wondering what they were talking about. I kept my attention, and I thought that was really good. That it, I was curious on what this was all about.
So you touched on something that, again, these are different approaches, right? That curiosity and mystery are innate human qualities we can tap into, and how we choose to go forward with this. It doesn't have to be one thing, by the way. We could do this in multiple different ways. So don't think there's a right or wrong here. There's a good or bad. This is about what speaks to you. If you have an idea, and we already heard a little from Greg, a little from BJ, I want you to pursue your ideas, and then this group perhaps can figure out how to yes and you, how to get your ad out there, how to let people know whatever it is. If it is you doing it, or is it more people, or again, whatever we want to do. This is about raising our voices in interesting ways. I see Susan. Yes, Susan.
The Val ad educated us. It listed 10 or 12 symptoms. If you didn't know and you heard that list of symptoms, you've learned something.
Yeah, that's right.
Disease process.
Education, because basically I think the fair assumption is that people are living in maybe pity-based ignorance, the 29 million that aren't directly affected or so. I saw Greg. Yes, Greg.
I was just going to say, along those same lines, I thought that ad did a particularly good job of talking about the breadth of symptoms that HIV brought on. For example, when I think of HIV, I just think of a rash on the chest. But, diarrhea for 10 days. Oh, geez, oh, Pete. And the same is true of Parkinson's. So often Parkinson's just gets associated with me, an old white guy crumbled over, shaking too much. And people go, terrible, but, hang in there and good luck.
Yep.
But if they knew all of the symptoms, the motor, the non-motor, the psychological deal, the apathy, I don't care that I don't care.
Yes.
I think that would really draw more people into it.
I love what you're bringing up here. And I see Nina's hand. I want to yes and one thing and then get to you, Nina, which is one other good place to look is the pharma companies, again, like or dislike the business model and how they do it, but they do an excellent job of positioning internal things. They have given many of them these psychological issues characters or characteristics or cartoon-like features so that people can have a manifestation, similar to how BJ was pitching the puppet idea, or the French video, which I don't have, but maybe I can find, of the woman who was hounded by the male who was her manifestation of Parkinson's, holding her movements and keeping her from moving the way she wanted. I'll see if I can find that, because that was a very effective one too. Nina, I saw your hand. Yes, please.
There was an ad in the UK that ran, and it was very effective. It was called Time for Can. I don't know if you can find it. If you if you show us the ad, it has that same vibe. It'll show different people with different symptoms.
Yes.
And it's very fast.
And you're saying this exists in what phase, or how would I find that?
You can look up on YouTube, Time for Parkinson's UK TV advert, Time for can.
Parkinson's. Okay. And what's that last part again?
Time for can, C-A-N.
All right, very good. I'll see if I can find something there. I think I can. Very good. Venetia, yes.
I just wanted to say that I loved how they did the education with all the different symptoms so quickly, and that they kept the one woman's voice, and that everyone is the same person. And it's like it's gonna happen to anybody. That was good.
That is kind of the idea, right? That we want that unity, we want that feeling, that reverse of stigma. The stigma, as we know with Parkinson's, is the old white man. And we need to recognize, of course, and the more people who are not old white men in this room who can speak up in that term and could shake that belief system, could change that. So that's part of what we're building toward. I appreciate all the voices on this. I did find the dance video, and I'm still going to see if I can find the time for can. I see something, but I'll see if I can get it. There's another angle to this before I go too far that I want to bring up that it doesn't quite come up in the book, but it does play in our world of possibilities, because while PSAs are out there, the other thing too is to look toward entertainment in this sense, because there are examples like Aaron Brockovich, like The Insider, like a Civil Action, that have taken real life stories and they have taken the impossible, which is part of the stigma too, right? The stigma is that, well, you tried to cure Parkinson's, but it just didn't work out. So, we're going to move on to something else, because something without a cure for long enough gets that label. It's impossible. So how do we stoke the impossible? How do we, get people involved with, we've got something. Greg brought up some of it earlier, the research, it's not messaged well right now. However, I was just at a symposium last week at UC San Francisco, one of the leading, research universities. And, they're once again sounding the trumpets like they were doing in Barcelona at the World Parkinson Congress. We think we're getting close again. For those of us who've been around for a long time, that's a slippery slope. It's a little bit like, yeah, we were with you last time you said you were this close. And there's some stinging pain about that. So how to reapproach that? This is where, as I mentioned, the entertainment side of possibly looking at this, like, what if I told my story as a story that people could get involved with? Aaron Brockovich is the example here. Let me play a clip just so that I can expose you to that idea, because you all have these stories in you, and we collectively could have a lot of them. But I just want to bring this forward because I don't, PSAs are a great idea and wonderful to cut to as a quick go. I want to make sure your personal voice is one you're considering too. So let's look at the personal voice of Aaron Brockovich in just this short scene. But it demonstrates some of her power, recognizing this is later in the film, where she was a woman who was more than down to her luck. She was out. She had 3 kids, including a baby, had no real background for any kind of job that could support the kids the way she wanted, and walked and talked and cursed her way into a law firm and found some people who were not represented, and she became their champion. And these people who were affected by PG&E, the Pacific Gas and Electric Company, were the ones who were never going to admit that they had done something to the water. It was impossible. Well, here's Erin facing some of those folks, again, having gone through a pretty dramatic, heroic journey on her own part. Let's take a look at that and see what we can draw from this.
I want you to think real hard about what your spine is worth, Mr. Walker. Or what you might expect someone to pay you for your uterus, Miss Sanchez. Then you take out your calculator and you multiply that number by 100. Anything less than that is a waste of our time. By the way, we had that water brought in special for you folks. Came from Well and Hinckley.
I think this meeting is over.
Okay. So what did we see? What did we feel? What what was effective in that in terms of when we talk advocacy? What did you see? Or
It got my attention
why did it get your attention, Yvonne?
because of her behavior and her words and her actions and the reactions on the people that she was meeting with.
Yeah. So you can see having an effect, and therefore it had an effect on you. Wonderful. Very good, Yvonne. BJ.
So the people who are defending their actions, they have all the legalese terms and everything else and reasons why they do things, and they can deny. But that one action immediately put them in the shoes of the people they're trying to defend themselves against, and it was indefensible. There we go.
Indefensible is a great word, and compassion or empathy, being in the other person's shoes, is exactly what we're looking to do, right? We need people who are not in the shoes of, or think this isn't their fight, to realize it is your fight. If it's not today, because of the way things are trending, because of the information in any Parkinson's disease, we're looking at doubling the rates again from 2015 to 2040. And that's when it's already reached pandemic levels. Because of COVID, we got pushed off of the media front. However, it doesn't change the trajectory of the numbers. That's still moving in a very negative way. The idea of what to do with is not. Susan, yes, please.
That Ann did something that I don't think any of those have done so far. In addition to power, there's humor. And humor has a lot of power. It couldn't be just funny, but I thought that humor was an important piece.
So recognize there's a lot of different ways to go with this. And Nina, it looks like you have to go, and thank you so much for being here. We'll see you soon. She says she'd like to be part of this and would like to discuss more. Nina, I'm so glad.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Nina. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And Susan, you bring up an important point that there are multiple ways to go about this. We saw we could scare people. We saw we could appeal to the heart. We could also appeal to their humor, their humanity, all of that way. Because, by the way, is it okay for people with Parkinson's to laugh?
Sure.
Are you sure you won't fall apart? You won't break in two? Are you sure? You poor little person with Parkinson's? Okay. So,
especially if you poke fun at yourself.
Yes.
Did I tell you I have Parkinson's?
Exactly. Right?
That's my tagline all the way.
Self-effacing.
Well, I especially liked the fact that she approached it from talking about money and what's your uterus worth and all those sort of things. But what really ended the meeting was when you had to swallow.
Yep.
Yeah. How much are you willing to do for your product?
Yeah, when that lady had to choose, do I swallow this? Is she kidding? Or did this come from that well that they all knew about?
Yeah.
That's when people start going, maybe I need to pay attention to this.
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, this is now, it's not like in my backyard. It's about to be in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
put up or spit out.
That's basically it, right? And so that's the thing, the old idea, NIMBY, right? We know that one, not in my backyard. That's what we're facing here with Parkinson's in some way. Well, it's not in my family. It's not in my mouth or my body yet. How do we present the good work, the great work of ending Parkinson's disease that helps people recognize through whatever avenue we choose, whether it's fear, whether it's heart appeal, whether it's humor, some combination within, to say this is in your backyard, okay? And maybe you don't recognize it yet, and you don't want it to be. As Dr. Dorsey often says, and sorry I couldn't get the clip here, but we'll show it next time, that he himself says, hey, look, I don't want Parkinson's disease, and I know the best way to end Parkinson's disease is not have it in the first place. So how do we end it, right? And that starts with cutting off. He's talking about the low-hanging fruit. That is going right after these chemicals, the awareness. And I like, Greg, your appeal toward, the veterans who fought, my dad being one of them, being exposed. Anybody who was at Camp Lejeune in the 80s, of course, is a well-known case and has not, but not well known enough, apparently. So, and we know it's not just that. We have in our group, Michael Qualia, who has a wonderful podcast. He knows that he was working with a chemical for many years in his work, and he knows he was exposed to TCE directly. And he's like, man, I mean, how many of us have that kind of clarity? Probably not that many, because it's that prevalent is the problem. It's in so many places. It's not just Camp Lejeune, right? That's just one place they got caught. And if they don't get caught, they're going to deny. We know that's true too. Okay.
I've got to run. I've got a dinner date with my wife. The one thing I wanted to add for today's meeting, I noticed there was an article today. This is out of Boston University. They've done a study on football. People that have played organized football.
Yeah.
Pee-wees, high school, college, and pros.
Right.
They have a 61% greater chance of having Parkinson's. That strikes me as a warlord of commerce, as a very interesting partner that we should pursue, the NFL. Because the NFL sure doesn't want too many moms to hear that.
No, and the article I read, I put it here in the link as well. You're exactly right on, and you talk about a warlord of commerce. The NFL is about as big as things get. So, thank you for that, Greg. I know you got to go. Thank you for joining us on the road, and say hi to your family for us. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
We're running short on time. Don't forget that we will be back next month. I will bring up one PSA type ad that we did in a different variety from an awareness standpoint that Susan just reminded me of, which is the Shake Challenge. How many of you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge from a few years ago, right? That was massive, right? That raised, millions of dollars and a tremendous amount of awareness. So this was a humorous approach, and I just enough time I can put it up here really quickly. And you guys,
your dad, the one with your dad.
This is the one with my dad. Exactly.
This is the one that kicked it off.
Yeah, because the video does a better job than me telling it. So let me see if I can put it up here really quickly. Did it have its own page? Do you remember, Susan? I'm trying to remember. Because I'm looking at our website has changed so much.
Yeah.
I thought it did, but I'm not seeing it. Maybe it was a part of, it wouldn't be Ending PD, because that's its own page, certainly for this. Well, if I can't find it, I'll save it for next time, just to say that, this is certainly an example, right? And to highlight what Susan said toward the idea of humor being what we do, and part of it anyway. For those of you who aren't familiar with our work, we'd love to, we'd love to have you at the Jam for Joy, which is our Tuesday and Thursday improv classes. We had, as a matter of fact, we've had Susan lead one, and just yesterday we had BJ lead one. So they are becoming increasingly led by people with and affected by Parkinson's, which is part of the goal as we expand the program. And again, that takes all of you, because your voices can be found through humor, through community, through confidence and creativity, all of which we build in that space. So I hope you'll join us for that. The other program, as I mentioned, and we have several people in the room here today, is the Day One Storytelling Program, and that I can call up really quickly. If you're not familiar with it, I hope you'll take a look at this and consider joining our next term, which will probably be in early 2024. We are about in week 6 with the current group, the Parkinson's Prison and the Hero's Journey to Escape. There are videos here with a lot of background about how it works and what it is, our work with PMD Alliance, the clinical work that was part of my PhD. And again, I have, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the room now who have either been in or are part of the program. So I can, just affirm to you all that, it's something that has worked. Yes, Susan.
The little three little lines, is there a shake challenge on the front splash page of the website? You know, those three little lines that everybody has, where you have more stuff.
Let me take a look real quick. I'm going to call up the homepage and you tell me, because we're right about a time. Here is the homepage. Susan, you tell me, what do you see?
The very, very top right, the three little lines that you can pull down.
That's not for this. That's for Google.
Oh, I'm sorry. The more. The more. I'm sorry.
I don't see it here.
Oh, darn it. Okay.
Yeah, I know it exists somewhere, but I don't see it here. So we'll find it. Don't
I think
worry.
it's under events.
Oh, really? Let's see. I've been there and I didn't see it. Here's events, and no, I don't see it there either. But that's okay. Like I said, we'll find it. It's a fun video, and if you want to explore Yes and Exercise on your own, please do. We will definitely, I'll put it in the queue for our next meeting. Does anyone else have anything? I know this went fast, but it sure did appreciate hearing your voices. Anything they'd like to add as we close for the day? It can be any thoughts? Yes, Yvonne?
Just a quick question. Do you already have a schedule for next month? Or is it just
the last Friday? We're going to meet the last Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so please tune in, and that page on the website will be the place to sign up. Let other people know about it. If you like this community, like, hey, we got to get in and get talking, come and join us the last Friday at 4:00 Pacific. Okay.
And also, I want to thank you for the same day link and reminder, because then it's right there in the inbox. So it's very courteous.
Oh, well, thank you. You're courteous for showing up. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, it's on the homepage.
Oh, I found it.
The homepage. There's a link on the homepage for the Shake It Challenge.
On the homepage, hold on. Let me see here. I'm on the homepage. For anybody who wants to hang out, I know we're over time, but let me find it.
It's just a minute. I just found it on the.
Oh, it is there. Yeah, now I see it. Okay, wow. That's what you get for trying to think too much. Okay. Okay, so the Shake Challenge. Here's a fun little thing we did. This is me and Dad, and this fun little video. And here it comes. Let me make sure. Oops, let me make sure the volume's on, because I do that often. One more time. There, shake that. BJ, you don't know anything about that, do you?
No.
All right, here we go.
What do you have, boys?
Cheeseburger, fries, and a chocolate.
Excuse me?
Yeah, that sounds good. A cheeseburger, a French fry, and a chocolate.
A what? Oh, a chocolate shake.
It's the Shake Challenge. Together we can shake Parkinson's disease stigma. Shake for fun. Shake for joy. Shake for refreshment. Shake for goodness sake. Brought to you by yesandexercise.org. You know, Dad, Parkinson's sucks.
Yeah, but there's one shake that doesn't.
Show us how you shake. Then challenge 3 more people to shake. The Shake Challenge. All right, there you go. Anytime you get to see Dan Cochran shaking, it's a good day. So that's the idea. Thank you. I'm glad you liked that.
That was worth waiting for, wasn't it?
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We haven't rebooted that. We may well. And again, we know what the Ice Bucket Challenge did. We feel we could get awareness with that and just drive people into interest. We could have many approaches, and that could be one of them. So everybody get your shake on.
I still got my taco hat.
Okay. You get your taco shake, my brother.
That's right.
All right. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bob.